Hey, this is Paul with some features of Surge 1.7 that we'd like to share with you. Surge 1.7 will release at the beginning of August. You can grab the beta now from the website. Surge is based on controls that modify the state of the synthesizer. Here I am modifying the shape parameter of the classic oscillator. And each of these controls has a right mouse button that gives you additional information. You'll see one of the first things we've added here is every right mouse button has the name of the control, but also this question mark. If you click on this link with the question mark, you'll get sent to context-sensitive help for almost every control in the whole synth. That's great. You'll also see that we've made this change to change the value display from just value to edit value. If I click on that, I can go -12 here and reset the value, or I can click on it and go 24 and reset the value. That's great. That works great for every continuous controller. There are some discrete controllers. Let me pop up the window oscillator here, and you can see the window type here is a discrete control. It has separate values. If I click on that, I get all the different window types that are available. Let me restore the classic here again. Similarly, if I click on the filter, I get all the filter types available. So I can go ahead and do that. No problem. Great. These type pins, though, don't just affect values, like setting this to 12%, they also affect modulation. So let me grab LFO1 here, modulate the shape. And you'll see I'm modulating the shape here by +34. And so now if I right click on the menu, I'll see LFO1 goes to shape ±34. And similarly I can grab LFO2, modulate the shape, grab LFO2 and arm it, modulate the shape by -30. And now if I take a look, I can see LFO1 goes ±43, LFO2 goes minus or plus 38. But I can edit this here from -38, which is the peak of the modulation, to be 12, and we'll see it adjust. Or I can edit it again to be -50. And similarly, I can trigger the same edit from down here. Okay, from -50 to 11. Great. So these type ins work for all of the modulations. Now, because these modulations can affect a lot of things, we've also added an advanced modulation view. If I go to Menu, User Settings, Modulation pop-up shows bounds, and activate that. Now when I modulate, I get this much bigger display. And this display shows us the center value, 26.91%, and the limits of where the modulation is going. This is a bipolar modulator, so it goes from +42 to -42, giving us the bounds of this shape going from -15 to 69.73 over the range of the modulation. This is particularly useful, though, when we modulate nonlinear items. So let me explain what that means. I'm going to disarm the LFO. The cutoff here is in frequency space, and that frequency space means that as I increase or decrease the cutoff, the number of hertz changes. We're moving this slider in sort of note space, and note space is 2 to the x in frequency space. So if I sit here and I type in 440 as my value, or go in and type in 880, it moves by an even amount. And similarly, if I then go and type in 220, it drops down by the amount from 440. Great. So now if I actually modulate this, you'll see that the amount I'm modulating up in frequency space is different than the amount I'm modulating down. That's because the modulation is even in note space, but not in modulation space. And so this full display can give you an idea of those bounds. And similarly, if I go ahead and edit this to be 220 hertz from 220, and then edit the value 440, we will now see that the modulation bound is 440 hertz. Finally, this displayed one of the features we think is really useful about the edit value typing, which is with modulation armed, you can edit both the range of modulation and the actual value. So you'll notice here, I was able to do the equivalent of move the gray slider or move the blue slider. And we think that's really handy. We hope you enjoy Surge 1.7. We've put a lot of work into it. Free and open source software. If you'd like to help with future versions of Surge, join us on GitHub or Slack, and have fun using the synth. Thank you very much.